So, Alain, maybe you could introduce yourself quickly first, and then tell us about your role in the built environment, I suppose, from a day-to-day and what that involves.
Yes, hi. So Alain Waha, I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Buro Happold. So our role is to design the built environment at city scale, at building scale, and my role is to scan for technologies and get them implemented into our business, the engineering business, and then help my colleagues implement them for our clients in their business, whether they are a construction company or a real estate company. So pretty broad remit in terms of looking at what technology could do for us, and then very focused on implementing a few at a time in our business.
Excellent. And you're looking at things on from a global perspective, or particular regions that you focus on?
So globally, so try to get ideas from everywhere, because nobody's got copyrights on great ideas. And separately, Buro Happold has 40 offices globally. So we span from Hong Kong in the east all the way to Los Angeles in the west. And so get a pretty good coverage. But again, we don't have an office in Australia, but I certainly spend a lot of time listening to what those guys are cooking. I was in Singapore last week. I was in Dubai. I'm heading to San Diego. So pretty global community, I think.
Yeah, I think last time we were speaking, you were in Bangkok as well. So obviously jet setting. But yeah, so, well, I mean, what, in terms of the AI, what opportunities do you see for AI integration within your field specifically, Alain?
So very, very hot topic, right? Top of the hype. I think everybody wants to do AI. We're implementing. I think everybody is implementing simply because it's already there. It's in your products. It's happening. And so everybody had to think a little bit about IP rights and upskilling everyone on, what to do and not to do with a ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. I think the opportunities are vast, because ultimately it's the general opportunity to implement technology to automate and make our lives easier, or to augment and make our brains bigger. And so our environment actually is highly complex, highly collaborative. And so this technology actually is really huge potential to help us, right? Because when we look at the work we do, there's a lot of repetitive tasks that we'd like to automate, but they're just every time slightly different. So yeah, so a traditional automatic formula in Excel won't work. But ultimately, AI is great at dealing with these things that are soft, right? So classifying an image and saying it's a cat or a dog, you can't just give the computer an image of a cat and say find the same image that's a cat. That can't find the other images of cats. So what we mean by AI, sometimes we mean machine learning and classifiers. And so those classifiers that can deal with that softness of it's a picture of a cat, but it's not exactly the same image at pixel level of the cat you've seen before. How does the computer allow you to deal with that? That's a breakthrough. And you can imagine how that breakthrough then translates to our ecosystem, where these things are always the same. A kitchen is a kitchen, but it's not exactly always the same dimension, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and I mean, it's obviously automating those simple and repetitive activities that you say, but what I mean, I suppose what other opportunities are there above and beyond that, or maybe considerations? Where would the biggest impacts be, maybe, do you think?
I think in the short term, right? In the short term is helping the human. It's a team sport, right? Designing and creating the built environment is a team sport. And so helping human play that team sport better. It starts with really simple things. all conversations being recorded. With AI, it's being transcribed. And then with a large language model, it could be summarized. And it could even extract key actions that could then be stored. And then, that's now standard part of the Copilot stack. And, I've been using a few SaaS tools, but that then pick all that up and say, don't forget to prepare for the call with Alex, or this email is overdue. I don't know if in Outlook now it says, you sent this email 3 days ago, but you haven't got a reply, you want me to follow up. You can see all that stuff really becoming part of the daily task and those automation, and what we call them, I think it's just gonna become a smart assistant, or just what you expect from an email thing. Don't forget to pay your gas bill.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like having a PA or something like that constantly on call, and I'm just using it in my day-to-day life. I mean, I can see some dangers because I'm asking ChatGPT everything. So, what should I watch next? I've got these things. Which one should I watch? What should I do? How do I walk? Should I do left foot, then right foot, or right, and left?
and so I think we don't need to having like kind of Star Wars application to really start seeing that this takes hold. This becomes a new skill. And this a new way to do work. And then after that, you say, right, but we're in the built environment. What are the specificities? What are things where actually I really would like if it could do that? And for example, we're automating PQQ responses. You receive a PQQ, tell us why your company is great at that. Boom, that's a template. Boom, it's automatic. We receive a contract. What are your comments? Right? Okay. We're using Luminance, but there's TechCrunch. These things have mine contract, and immediately they say, right, these are all the clause, and this needs to be looked at by your commercial team, this by your technical team, this by your BIM team. And then now we are even teaching Luminance on how to look at the BIM execution plan and say, right, of these things from the BIM execution plan, this is traditional, no problem, green, but these three things you really need to start asking questions, and why they're asking that, because that could be risky or onerous. So it's happening. It's just happening, and it's lovely. Now it's really a long way from, hey Siri, design me a building, but it's actually really tangible.
Yeah, I mean, you can see where it might go, I suppose. And I mean, so that was a specific example. That was my next question: is where have you experimented with AI for within your business and maybe with your clients' businesses, where it's been most impactful or interesting?
I think hundreds of use cases. So specifically, we've actually organized ourselves to have a use case, and we grouping them by epics, and then we getting the systematic experimentation, then deployment, and so there is what I would call generic AI, AI that is non-industry specific, and it's like summarizing a report. That's done. Then you're starting to get some vertical AIs like can you look at this report, but can you also look at this drawing? Is everything dimensioned correctly? So those kind of use cases are coming through, which are quite exciting, really. And so you really can see that these use cases are easy to deploy, and they're actually not changing how we work in terms of the process, the deliverables. But they're really starting to automate and augment and make our lives easier. And then, looking a little bit further ahead, people are looking at hundreds of different use cases. I mean, the ones that we have implemented and work quite well are even softer. For example, you can do AI CFD or AI heat gains. So what I mean by that is that normally you have to compute the hard way what would be the wind load on a building. However, a human that has experience, Adrian Newey will tell you he can see the wind and he designed his car, right? What's going on there? Well, there's a brain that has experience. Well, actually, that's just a machine learned neural network that says, if you put this thing, typically that's the solution you get. Machine learn that so that suddenly you've got a 80% correct estimate of what's the wind load on the building. So you change the building in real time and then say, right, let's compute this one. Oh no, it didn't work. We missed that. But if we shave that, oh yeah, that works, right? So you're really seeing some really cool stuff. But it's really broad, really broad.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose, well, we'll come on to that later, but how at the moment it's really fitting into what we're doing at the moment and quite seamlessly doing so. But it's almost we haven't opened our minds to what the potential might be, when the new things come around that are built around AI's capability as rather than fitting into what we do currently, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm moving on to the next question. It was about the challenges you've encountered incorporating AI into workflows and work processes. Is there any sort of particular thoughts on that area?
Yeah, I think you have to upskill, right? So certainly we've deployed Copilot, and for me the acid test or the simple question is, are you using Google more than Copilot or Copilot more than Google? Because for my money, Copilot's a lot more powerful in generating content. So you really want to shift people in terms of habituals. That's the first one. I think making sure that you have that conversation around it is risky, but if you know what you're doing, it's fine. Just don't go and upload all your company IP into a large language model. I think you need to then address some more emotive topics, like it's gonna take my job, versus it's useless. It's useless, right? So it's really this maturity of conversation that I think is central to going in the right direction. So as the CTO, I would argue that everybody needs to know what's an LLM, what's a pre-trained transformer, what's a hallucination, what's the scale of data sets that you need in machine learning and neural networks, for it to work. So that's that maturity. Otherwise, we had baby steps. Yeah, like what's a computer? Can a computer play chess? And you get this a bit naive conversation, and we need to be able to raise the maturity of everyone to have more mature conversation, more interest and interesting conversation.
That's really the upskilling of the workforce to be able to utilize it and make the most of it. Out of interest, was there a choice between sort of Copilot and ChatGPT, and why did you choose Copilot as the one?
Yeah, I think every firm choose their drugs. We chose a Copilot. We maintain diversity, but certainly we build all our applications for the business function out of Microsoft Stack. So there's a huge benefit to say we're going to build our RAGs, because all our data is already in Azure, or infrastructure or cyber or scalability is in Azure. So it's really easy. But obviously, you've got Amazon and Google, and they're very powerful. But we just
makes sense to your environment.
Learn, and then you want to find. I think this is really important. You want to find a partner and an ecosystem of partners that really help you with this maturity journey. So don't spend a lot of time around optimizing half a cent here or doing a procurement exercise. Rather look at who's got the best upskilling, who's got a great account manager, who's got a great ecosystem of partners that gonna accelerate your journey.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I mean, looking at a broader spectrum now, or question, Alain, can you highlight some of the most exciting AI applications you've seen in the built environment?
So many. It's very early, right? It's very, very early. I'd have to. We spend a lot of time on contracts because it's a contractor business, and so understanding that applications that allow you to discover precedents, I think it's really interesting. That's discovery of previous knowledge that's captured into documents, BIM models, specification, drawings, and be able to access that and understand it within context, not ask it to do generative, but just access the collective knowledge. That's really, really interesting. That's certainly something that we've done in-house. But if we then ask, what would you like the AI to do? I think a lot of people are saying, can you help me with design exploration? I think that's a really big topic. And handle the complexity of the global optimization versus the local optimization, because ultimately we're in a world where everybody's super specialized. And so they all go very deep in optimizing for their package, but actually, how do we do a global optimization across all these domains? That's a really interesting topic. But again, I think we track about 1,000 firms, so it'd be very difficult to know which one to say is really super cool.
Something will come around the corner that we, like I say, that you hadn't thought of, and I think we had a conversation about that before, Alain. Maybe in terms of Facebook and pictures and things like that, and you didn't even dream of that before when there was photos. But anyway, I digress. But what was in terms of you mentioned, will AI take my job, or people being scared of that? Obviously I'm focused on talent and search and selection. So, what impact do you believe AI will have on roles and people within your field?
I think there are two really fundamental impacts. The first one is that somebody that is, augmented. A farmer without a tractor will not stay in business but tractors didn't put farmers out of business, right? It's just moved the work and the ability to work the land, and you need a new skills. You need to run a tractor. You need to apply for a loan to buy a tractor. You needed to then say, now I have a tractor, how do we increase the yield of this land, right? So here we have a new technology. It's not a tractor, it's LLMs and neural networks. So you really, in terms of the talent needs to understand how they use this technology. And I think that's the skill of the 21st century, is how to multiply yourself with that technology. So that's really an important impact on talent. So we're looking for engineers that have that mindset of, and I'm going to multiply myself. And I know how to do that. And what I don't know, I will learn from my colleague and I will share, right? So we want people that are saying, hey, I had to do this deliverable, and because I already had a template and it was really a variation, therefore I scripted through Python and an LLM, and boom, I filled in all these things. And normally it would have been a boring job of 2 weeks, but actually in 30 minutes, it was all done. And then I could spend the next 2 weeks improving, checking, asking the clients, reprioritizing. So really that is a fundamental change. The second one is slightly different, is to say, right, how do I get good at dimensioning? We took the example of dimensioning, and so we're seeing auto dimensioning feature coming into software like AutoCAD, right? So how do I get good at dimensioning? By doing it. How do I know what works, what makes sense? By doing it, right? If you take a calculator and you say 25 times 5, okay, I know where this is going to land. And then if it says 12,400, you say, I need to type that again, right? You know it needs to come up with 125, not 12,000. So that's innate sense of what's right. You acquired it because you multiplied 25 times 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you know order of magnitude. You've got a sense for numbers. How do you build that sense in, for example, dimensioning, when you move things and then AutoCAD dimensions, and then later on your boss or your peer says, well, actually that dimension looks rubbish. Why do you not spot it? To them, it would look like 12,500 for 25 times 5. It's that blaring, but so really, and it's really fundamental, because, we all talk about hallucination. Hallucination is a really nice word for saying AI has got it wrong, right? It was 94% certain that this was the most probable answer, but 6% of the time is the wrong answer. A human now needs to come and say, that's wrong, that's wrong. And it's not a brutal Stack Overflow or finger trouble on the calculator. It's gradual, it's plausible, but wrong.
I know. I had that very, the maths calculation using ChatGPT when I was back, and it came through, and I was like, hang on a minute, that doesn't look right. And I did it on the calculator, and then went back to ChatGPT saying, I think that's wrong. This is what it is. And went, oh yeah, sorry. And I went, what? How does it get calculations?
So the maths is exactly. So we talked about maturity, about understanding the technology, and then this ability to pick hallucination, right? So I don't know exactly the thing, but you could ask ChatGPT, how many R's in strawberry fields, right? And the only ways ChatGPT can answer that is to determine the most probable next word after that question that it's seen in all the information is vectorized, right?
Yeah.
Now, if somebody was doing a joke and say, there are 20 R's in strawberry fields, the reply will be 20. Because it doesn't reason. It can't understand the question. It doesn't understand the letter R. I need to count. And in strawberry, there are 3 R's. And not 5, and not 20. It doesn't reason.
So
it's a probabilistic machine.
Is this going to be the new terrorism? Someone's going to go into, put across the data, across the, the web, fake information, which they already do, but
I think you mentioned ethical and practical consideration around precedent data bias, right? And we've had this question around, if you Google for an image of a boy in Google, then suddenly all the white boys appear, and there is not a good diversity and representation, right? And so you are interrogating mathematically and probabilistically a data set. So it does not reason. It does not it can only say, based on all this information which we vectorized, your input token computes to this output bar. So you have really ethical implication around data bias, propagation of false information, etc.
And so, going back to the people who are going to be operating it, we need to still, need to be trained to, there's a danger there of being over reliant on AI to provide our answers, and you really need to know what's there behind. So when my son's saying,
that's it,
I'm going to do all my homework on Copilot or something like that, I'm going to say, no, you got to learn it properly.
It's a completely new skill, and it's a completely new type of output from computers. So computers mostly give you a heuristically correct answer because it's algorithmic. So unless there's something that's going fundamentally wrong, and that's why we joke about Stack Overflow, right? If you type a big enough number, your calculator goes 9999, and it's a wrong answer, and it tries to trap that, right? So computers are built to trap those errors when it gets out of bound. Now, the two really, as technology went into finite element analysis and simulations, then suddenly really configuring that simulation to get a good answer and calibrating it back to reality and understanding what's in the simulation and what's not in it becomes a key skills. But ultimately, how many people on the planet are doing finite element analysis? Not really. But then suddenly we put this kind of computational tool in the hands of everyone. And then suddenly the answer is everyone needs to understand what this thing is doing. It's statistically inferring. So not only it will never give you exactly the right answer, it's going to give the most probably correct answer it can find.
Yeah.
Right? And that could be 20%. It's like a weather forecast, right? So your son types in something, right? And ultimately, if you say, "Is it gonna rain?" and you say no, then you walk out of your door and it's raining. You grab an umbrella, but with this thing, it generates an image. You try asking it generating an image of the skyline of London, and then it will generate an image. It will have London buildings. It will be plausible. If you've ever been in London, it's not the right skyline. If you've never been to London, it's a plausible skyline. And it's only if you use your critical thinking, say, wait a minute. This is a generative AI thing. So it's creating a probable, plausible answer, but it ain't going to be exact. Right? So now, does it need to be exact? Do I have real photos of the skyline and say, actually, that building is in the wrong position? Or, now nobody says you need accurate representation on the London skyline, right? I mean, painting an artist create emotion all the time without being exactly accurate. But you, the human, need to curate that. And how you understand it, how you understand it, how you use it, and how do you learn? The biggest danger is says, this is it. This is the skyline of London because the machine gave it to me. No. You now need to find some images, correct it, validate it, curate it. So your son doing his homework, I think needs help because it's a starting point. And now you've gone past the blank page. Fantastic. How do I start? How to start? And then second, you've got a structure of an answer. Now that structure is then your job to shape it, change it, and validate it. Interrogate it and validate it. So critical thinking becomes so important, and really getting engaged with the matter that you are curating, because it's how am I better than a random statistical analysis of all information, precedent information that the machine knows, right? So it's quite a new world we are entering, and we're just entering.
And what do you think are the most exciting aspects, or for you, within AI's capabilities?
I think I started there in the built environment. We mentioned earlier, it's a team sport, and what I mean by that, it's a really broad ecosystem. And we have some significant challenge with that ecosystem, be it the lack of affordable housing or sustainability. And we also think technology is not really being able to penetrate it and solve those problems. And so what's really exciting is when you ask yourself, well, why not? And he says, because it's not that simple, because it's a team sport. So everybody needs to be able to talk, and they all speak a different language. Oh, it turns out that machine translation or large language machine help with that, right? So for example, big shout out to our guys at Nplan, right? So the guys at Nplan, a lot of their technology is about ingesting as many possible, project plan as possible to be able to compare them and say, well, now, one big part of their technology is that, firm A and firm B, they're both making project plan. They might even have put them in the same computer system, but I guarantee you that they will have named things ever slightly differently, right? Which means that a basic computer can't compare the two plans. However, with machine learning and large language models, what the guys at Nplans are doing is saying, right, what's the normalized version of their plan? What's the normalized version of their plan? Now I can compare them. And it turns out that if you can compare 1,000 plan, patterns emerge, you give it 1,005, and it says, these three activities compared to the normal plans are out of kilter, you're gonna have a problem, right? So, but to be able to do that, the need to be able to get 1,000 companies to talk to each other and be able to compare their plans is what the AI is now helping us do. It's dealing with that interoperability and then dealing with the complexity. Ultimately, we say we need to augment our brain. Why? Because we know that a human brain can build a cathedral. It takes 150 years. A human brain will struggle. There's not going to be a master builder that can build a shard, right? It's just the systems are too complex. The speed at which we're trying to build it, the ecosystem that builds it, there is nobody that understands the problem in its entirety. It doesn't fit the human brain. Just think how many drawings represent it and says, can a human ever look at all these drawings and absorb that information and say, oh yeah, on this drawing, it didn't match that drawing, or you're going to have a, no. AI does that. It does that. And so suddenly we have brain augmentation that will allow us to address the built environment. And so that's quite exciting because we've got serious problems to solve.
Yeah. Really exciting. Oh, brilliant. Well, one final question, Alain. What advice would you give other people in the built world sort of looking to explore and expand their use of AI?
Run fast.
Jump on the tractor. Don't be scared of the tractor.
Yeah, I don't think that's very practical, but that's more an encouragement. I think certainly for our team is about getting the wheel, flying. So really, if all the enthusiasm we have in our practice can be translated into outcomes and impact, because we're synchronized and everybody's maturity is rising fast, then the impact was going to be phenomenal, because the ideas, the enthusiasm is just magnificent.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Alain, thank you so much for joining me and for your amazing insights, and always a pleasure to chat.